And good afternoon, Sword Family. While I'm messing around with the stupid kick garbage, because they decided to wait until just now to tell me that it had lost access to my account instead of telling me, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. I want to talk about something that I don't really talk about very often. And I'm sure that people have probably noticed that I have shaved again. Well, last month was difficult. I kind of mentioned this a little bit on one of Joe's game streams a couple of days ago. But the irony of having, a mental health issue during Men's Mental Health Month, it's odd. But sometime around the middle of June, I realized that I hadn't actually shaved at all since the 6th. Right before not right before, the morning of my Teahouse on the 6th. And then the rest of the month, I just couldn't be bothered to do it. And sometimes it's difficult to realize when you're having issues until after they've passed. I'm sure that Carl can speak more on this. But I didn't actually realize what I was going through until I was no longer going through it. And it's not anything different than a lot of the things that I normally go through. But that still doesn't mean it wasn't annoying. And I want to let people know that I'm fine. Well, okay, I'm not fine, but I'm better than I was, and I will be fine. And to the people that reached out and checked in on me and made sure that I had the things I needed, I want to say I appreciate it. And just let everyone know that I'm okay. So now that we got that garbage out of the way, there we go. We got our kick back on. and the people who just reconnect or just connected on Kick are like, what the hell's going on? Thanks to Dan, we are going to be discussing more about Korean writing and the language. And possibly, I need to send him a message. We might be having Sifu Cuddle come back on for a second round of tea time, which has been over a year since the last one I did. And his was the last one I did. So it would be kind of fitting to have him be the first one back too. But that might be something on the horizon, possibly in August. I have to, like I said, I have to actually, talk to him about it. But that's something that might be fun. So the rest of this month is remarkably open for topics. So if any of the Sword family want to throw out ideas for things that we could do for the next 3 weeks, go ahead and toss them in the chat. If it sounds, if it sounds interesting, if it sounds doable, I'll do it. Even if it's something that I know absolutely nothing about, I will gladly go ahead and do it, because I do not mind learning new things. I love learning new things. It's like one of my favorite things to do. So if you got ideas, throw them out. I really, go ahead, have fun. But tonight, last week we talked about the writing systems in a lot of Asia. We talked about kanji, and we talked about hiragana and katakana and Bengali, and there was actually something I wanted to bring up that I forgot. This is why I need to take notes. There's a note app in StreamYard. I need to use the damn thing. But when we were discussing the Japanese writing systems, and of course I realized this literally right after I ended the stream last week. I'm like, oh yeah, I was going to talk about that. So we'll just throw this in at the beginning here. In the Japanese writing system, there is something called furigana. And that is when you have hiragana or katakana either alongside or on top of the kanji. So sometimes when you look things up in Japanese, you'll have kanji characters either horizontal or vertical, and then you'll have hiragana or katakana alongside them or on top of them. It's called furigana. It's always really, really interesting to me when you actually see it. It's not always there, which is, I find it kind of sad, because I think it's cool looking to see both styles of writing. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and run through our comments really fast, and then we can get started. And first through the door at 4:49 is Foxy. Welcome to the Teahouse, where tonight we will discuss the similarities and differences between Chinese and Korean writing. Not just writing either. We're gonna go a little bit into the spoken language as well. But writing was the discussed topic, so that's what we're gonna go with. And Donna popping in, greeting Foxy. Hello, Donna. Foxy greeting Donna, and Donna has a little thunderstorm. We'll be keeping an eye on it. Wasn't that starting while Joe was playing earlier? That was like 4 hours ago. Hopefully not too bad and cools things down. Yeah, thunderstorms definitely have the ability to cool things off pretty quickly. Probably just add to the humidity, but at least the heat wave is supposed to be over. That's what I heard. And Kitty popping in with her very aggressive hi. Hello, kitten. And that's good. And greetings to Kitty, and greetings to Kitty. This should be fun. I hope so. And evening, everyone from Ruby. How's it going, Ruby? And Carl popping in. Hello, everyone. Hello, Carl. And Foxy greeting, Ruby and Carl. And Dan pops in. Good evening, Dan. Pouring rain a minute ago. Fireworks are probably a no-go for tonight. Nature's fireworks instead. Are we celebrating something tonight? I wasn't aware there was anything to celebrate. And greetings, Dan. Natures are better anyway. This is very true. And Donna greeting Dan and Witzman dude. And amen. Yes. So far, no one has let any off, but we'll see. We'll see tonight for sure. And what's up, Sword People from Midnight? How's it going, Midnight? And Dawn is joining us. Evening. Hello, Dawn. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Yes, please do. And Dawn greeting Foxy, and the Foxy that just smooshed her honey. Yeah, she does that sometimes. And the Nightwalker joins us. Hey, Trey, how's it going? And greetings to Dawn, and greetings to Trey. And yeah, sometimes just feel off like something is in the wrong place. That's part of it, yeah. So true, Carl, yeah. Can be hard to see something's going on when it's your current normal. Yeah. Always be here when you need me. I know you will, babe. I appreciate it anyway. Ooh, have a theory about this particular feeling, but we can discuss it off screen. Do we need to have a return of the drunken psychologist and bring in, guests of various mental difficulties? Could be nice, yes. And greetings. Len allowed me to cook for her, so yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, it's always worth celebrating when you're allowed to show your love for people in ways that are not always physical. Let's just put it that way. I had a discussion with Trey a little bit. I sent her a message last night during the infamous green room, basically asking her if Joe's love language is sending unhinged and insane reels to people. And she basically said yes. So, people have interesting, yes. And I mean interesting in the may you live in interesting times curse sort of way. People have interesting love languages sometimes, It's like when you taste something disgusting or you smell something gross. You can't keep it to yourself if there are other people around you. You know, something just absolutely vile, and you're just like, here, smell this. Here, taste this. Obviously, you don't warn them first, because that would just, that would demolish part of the experience. So yeah, if you are on Captain Joe Bachman's list of people that he shares affection towards, Going easy and making sausages tonight, yeah. Hey, Don and Trey, hope you're not getting the storm. So do I. Ooh, oh. Okay, yeah. A show on the Rajput Warriors? We can do that. We can do that. Yes, we can. Infamous Green Room is about right, yeah. Equal parts. Oh, excuse me. Equal parts therapy session and frat party. That's the best I could come up with. Yeah. That could be fun. Yes. Century egg. No. Yeah, here, taste this. No, thank you. Barbecue chicken, baked beans, and salad. Hell yeah. That does sound good. Not even the first time. I probably shouldn't have, but it is what it is. Yes, so tried it, have regrets, yes. All right, so we started last week talking about the Chinese writing system and kind of where a little bit, a quick and dirty, how it, how it started, where it came from. And Dan, so very graciously, said he wanted to learn more about Chinese and Korean writing. And just so people know, I mentioned my Duolingo last week. Mandarin, Scots Gaelic, Spanish, music, chess. I'm actually getting fairly okay at chess. I had no idea what I was doing when I actually first started taking those lessons. And now I still don't exactly know what I'm doing, but I can play the computer and win. It doesn't happen all the time. So when it does happen, I am pleased with myself. And there are still times where I'm not exactly sure how or why I won, but I know more than I knew when I started. And I am considering no 3D chess. Thank you. No. I am considering actually taking up Korean because Midnight's partner, one of them anyway, is very interested in Korean culture and languages. Something that she studied when she was a child. And the differences between Chinese and Korean, to me, are fairly obvious. But I've been studying Asian languages and cultures and things for more than half my life. So it might not be as obvious to other people. And I've been racking my brain basically all day to try and come up with the best way to describe the difference between spoken Chinese and spoken Korean. Because if you hear them and you know, you can tell the difference. But if you can't, if you don't know, I can see how people would say that they all sound the same. Then, earlier today, I was watching one of my favorite reaction channels on YouTube, Charismatic Voice. She also does interviews with musicians and calls it Tea Time, which is interesting. And she used the word that just clicked in my brain. Korean is a very glottal language. It's in the throat. It's glottal. When you hear people speaking Korean, they're making the sounds not with their lips or tongue or teeth, but with their throat. So I'm going to do something before we even get into the writing system. Hopefully you can hear this. I'm going to Google Translate. And I'm going to have a sentence read in Chinese and the same sentence read in Korean. And I want you to listen for that glottal sound. All right? So let me know if you can actually hear this. Mix of Mongolian and Chinese. You know, that's not a bad way to look at it, kind of. Mongolian is also kind of a glottal type language. I couldn't hear it. Damn it. Let's see if I can turn this up some more. Hopefully this is going to blow out my speaker. Try again. That was loud. How about that? Did you hear that one? Well, damn. Well, I cannot, because I can say the sentence in Chinese, but I can't say it in Korean because I can't speak Korean yet. Let's see if we can do something else then. Choppy, okay. We're going to try. We're going to try something else. Try and find a short. Try this one. All right, let's try this one. YouTube. One more way not to make a light bulb. Nah. All right, I'm going to just try and do this the best I can. So Chinese. "我和面条和米饭。我喜欢面条和米饭." Chinese. It means I like rice and noodles. 我 is me. 喜欢 is like. 面条 is noodles. 米饭 is rice. Now, this is going to be ugly. My apologies to Pari. Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. Okay, let's do it this way. Who remembers years ago? This was maybe close to a decade ago. Who remembers the song Gangnam Style? Who remembers that little earworm? Gonna do better than any of us could do. Possibly. Well, some of them, yeah. Gangnam Style. Yeah, see, that's Korean. That's Korean. It's a very throat. Still hear Gangnam Style in my head. Now try and think of. And here's the really interesting thing, that the guy is still around making music. It's just not as popular over here. But he's been making music this whole time. He never stopped. But try and think, if you can, of the way that sounds. It's very in the throat. That's the best I can do, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Klingon style, yeah, which was also fun, yeah. Have my sympathies. Hey, I'm gonna try. I tried Hindi for like a week. If I could do Hindi for a week, I can do Korean for a week. Steampunk style? Oh boy. German is also kind of a glottal language. I'm sure I've mentioned this before, but I took German in high school because I'd already taken 2 years of Spanish and I wanted to challenge myself. And the only other option there was Spanish and German. So I took 3 years of German. And I remember the first year, my sophomore year, going up to my German teacher and telling her I was having issues with pronunciation. And she said, be angry. German sounds angry. Even when you're not angry, you sound angry. So I tried it. And it worked. But yes, go after this is over. I'm going to give you some homework. I know, but I'm giving you homework. After this is over, I want you to go out, go on YouTube, and I want you to listen to Gangnam Style. Then I want you to go, and I want you to search for Jay Cho. I'm going to put this in the chat. What's a good one? You know what? Let's just do this. Because why the hell not? I knew that's what it was. We're going to throw this. There you go. Good job. Thank you. Very good. Oh, excuse me. That is Jay Cho, song called Blue and White Porcelain. I want you to listen to that. And then thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. There's a link for Gangnam Style. I want you to listen to them as close as you can to back to back. And I want you to pay attention to the way the lyrics sound. Chinese is a very tonal language. We discussed this last time. And we discussed this a while ago when I talked about all of the different tones in Chinese. I don't know as much about Korean. I am willing to learn about Korean. That's why I'm going to try and learn Korean on Duolingo. But from what I can hear, you're not changing the tone with your lips or your tongue or your teeth. You're doing it all back here in your throat. So that's your homework. Listen to those two songs and listen to the lyrics and the way the language sounds. To me, it's fascinating. They have similar roots and they diverged so drastically. And yes, Jay Cho, amazing voice, and he's not a bad actor. He was in Now You See Me Too, and they're talking about doing a spin-off movie of just his character from Now You See Me Too. He can hit high notes that, yeah, just, no. But now let's get into the actual meat of this. We talked about the Chinese characters and where they came from and how we branched from Chinese characters to kanji and Korean. All these things started with Chinese characters. Chinese characters moved to Korea around the 9th century. And they're called Hanjia. Now, again, the Korean, I'm pronouncing it as it was Chinese. If you remember, kanji is the Japanese pronunciation of Hanzi, meaning Han characters or characters of the Han people. Now you have Hanjia or Hancha, C-H-A. In the Gojoseon period, Chinese characters were introduced to Korea. They became Hanjia. That is classical Chinese writing. Hanja characters more closely resemble the Chinese that they started in. They may have a different order, but they are closer to where they started. I'm going to share this screen if I can. Yes, put on your learning caps. We're going learning. Okay. Share screen. All right, so we have Hanzi, Hanjia. This is the Korean of this. This is Hanjia. And you can see a similarity. You have 2 lines here, 2 lines here. You have a square here, circle here. This on the left side becomes this on the right side. This here becomes this down here. It's more similar than later characters. That is Hanjia. Most of... Hey, Popper. Dog wants to say hello. Yes, dog wants to say hello to your loving fans. Say hello to your loving fans. Yes. No, I can't play right now, buddy. No, I can't play right now. Most of the Korean documents, early Korean documents, were written in Hanjia. Hanjia, at one time, was used to write native Korean words in systems called Idu. Idu was a writing system during the Three Kingdoms period of Korea, which lasted about 700 years. From 57 BCE to 668 AD. It used Hanjia to represent Korean words and Chinese words. It was developed by Buddhist monks. They recorded Korean words through the equivalent in Chinese. They used it for official documents until about 1894. So they used Idu script for a long, long time. Now, no one really knows officially when written Chinese entered Korea. The only sources for early Korea do not mention a writing system at all. Everything was oral. Shush. know what you're thinking. Shush. Behave. But during the 3rd century, Chinese migration into Korea due to war occurred. And we have the earliest evidence of Chinese writing in Korea. 3rd century. There is a sword in 222 BCE in Pyongyang with Chinese engraving. So you have Chinese migrants who speak and write in Chinese. You have Korean people who only speak Korean. They don't have their own writing system. Naturally, you're going to have Chinese migrants teaching the Koreans how to write. But the language, as we just went over for the past half hour, is very different. So we have early attempts to make written Chinese texts accessible to Korean readers, and that would develop in Gugyol, the Gugyol system. Chinese texts broken down into meaningful blocks and inserting Hanjia to represent the Korean sound. So you have Chinese writing broken down into easily digestible chunks, and they would throw in Korean words so that the Korean people would understand the word they were writing. That was Hanjia. But then you have Hangul, which is the Korean alphabet. But as we kind of talked about last week, Hanjia was not suited to the Korean language. So, a king in Korea moved to create the official Korean alphabet. That is Hangul. So we're going to bring up this picture. There we go. This is Hangul. This is the Korean alphabet. Now, if you compare this to Chinese, you're going to see a lot more circles. I think I kind of talked about this last time. Korean has a lot of this circular kind of character. But it's also boxier. And kind of what I mean by that is, you know, this box is one character. This box is one character. Now, I'm sure if you had someone that was more artistic, they could take this bit of Korean here. This is Hangul. This is Joseongul. I'm still pronouncing it in Chinese. That's definitely going to be a hard one for me to like unlearn, I guess. But I'm sure you could find someone who is more artistic that could take this writing and make it more fluid. Like this. This is my little logo sticker that I have on my business card holder. I'm sure you could get someone that could make the Korean look more like this. But to me, the Korean language is boxy. Yes, thank you, Carl. It's much simpler looking. Yes, it is. It is. That is Hangul. That is the official Korean alphabet. Around 443 or early 444, the Korean alphabet was announced that they had created an alphabet. And in 446, they published the first official text in Hangul. Originally, Hangul was adopted amongst the common people. You know, the peasants. But the elite continued using Hanjia because they considered it more upper class. Hangul only received greater acceptance in the late 19th century. Oh, excuse me. So this writing system, Hangul, has only been societally accepted for around maybe 130 years. Maybe. It is the predominant script in Korea, but it only has been for about 130, 140 years. The Korean alphabet has 24 letters, 14 consonants, and 10 vowels. But you can combine them to create 27 additional letters, resulting in a total of 51. They are arranged in blocks of syllables with a consonant, a vowel, and a final consonant. Korean can be written in vertical roles, like most Asian writing, or horizontal. Although vertical is usually the dominant way that's written because that's how most things are written in most Asian countries. Vertical roles. The pronunciation of Hangul now is similar to Western punctuation. They don't usually have spaces. Well, they have spaces now, but it wasn't standard practice. Hangul was designed to be simple, with mostly straight lines, dots, and circles. So if you look at Chinese characters, oh, hey, TwitchBot, go away. Thank you, Carl. If you look at Chinese characters compared to Korean characters are very, very complex. We're going to do something. We're going to do something. We are going to... Okay, this... Can we zoom in on this, maybe? There we go. That's good. This is the Chinese character for love. That's the simplified. Go away, simplified. We don't like you. There we go. That is the traditional character for love. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 strokes. Quiet. That's what they're called. It's called stroke order. Behave yourselves. 13. That's what that looks like. This right here in the center, let me move it so you can actually see it. But these 4 strokes right here, that is the Chinese word for heart. Now, if you look at the simplified script, the heart is gone. How can you have love without heart? That's why I hate simplified characters. This is the real one. 13 strokes. Now, let's go back to Google Translate. Already on Korean. Very good. Let's write the same word. Love. Oh my goodness. Look how much simpler that is. Let's go ahead and... no, not full screen. Not full screen. That, apparently, is Korean for love. Like Carl said, simpler.
사랑, 사랑,
Shush. So many green room things I could probably come up with right now. Yeah. I know. Oh, you didn't. No. You didn't prove that you can behave. Because I'm sure you're having some thoughts that you're just not putting to keyboard. Only 5? Jeez. But that is so much simpler. That's the whole point. Ouch. Hangul. Yeah. If you don't pick up the brush, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Come on now, guys. That was the whole point. It was meant to be simple. Straight lines, dots, circles. Now, we don't know when work began. And we have no clue what the process was. All we know is a king, Sejong the Great, created the Korean alphabet. It was most likely introduced finished product. Here you go. In the 12th month of 1443 of the Korean calendar, which in the Gregorian calendar is around December 30th of 1443 to January 28th of 1444. Now here, because we're doing this, did that make stamps easier? Yes, they do block prints. Yes. Yes, they do. Just don't hurt yourself behaving. Yeah. Only reason I behaved is my keyboard is buried under one. Buried under wands and wiggles. Mm-hmm. Brushing cats. Yeah. You guys are not making this easy. All right, this is the first page of the document that introduced Hangul to the Korean people. Now, what do we see here? We see Chinese characters. This is all Chinese except for that. Not sure what that is. That might be an indicator of the beginning of a statement, or that might be an indicator of the end. I'm not 100% sure on that one. But this is all Chinese. But this is the document that introduced the Korean alphabet to the Korean people. Not the green room. Not the green room. Joe takes 5 strokes and Trey is petting cats. Yep. Attach the toys to long wands today. Okay. We're going. Yeah. Now, this document, once again, I'm sorry, Pari. The document that introduced the Korean alphabet to the people is called the Hunminjeongeum. Hunminjeongeum. I'm sure that was terrible. But that is the document that formally introduced the Korean alphabet to the Korean people. And that picture was the first page of that document, which, as you could see, was written in Chinese. Now, Hanjia declined because Korean people the commoners had been using Hangul, whereas the elites continued using Hanjia. And over time, the scripts became mixed because neither group could agree on which one was better. So they became a mixture script. You would find it in writing and advertisements, but around the 1960s, the government stopped teaching in South Korea. They stopped teaching Hanja in schools and in the military. They wanted to eliminate Hanja so that only the Korean alphabet remained. During a time of the Korean people wanted to have more respect for their own culture and not just, our writing came from Chinese writing. They wanted their own thing. So the South Korean government wanted to get rid of Hanja so the Korean people could have the Korean alphabet only. But the public did not like this. So they brought back Hanja as a subject in school, but upheld the removal in textbook and learning materials outside of class. So only in classes could you learn Hanja. It also declined because of keyboard layouts. Because the keyboards were designed with Hangul in mind, so Hanja was more difficult to put in place on a keyboard. In the late 1940s, there was a push for better typewriters for Hangul characters. But this was before the Hanja ban, which occurred in the 1970s. So government institutions didn't like typewriters. They preferred writing by hand. During the 40s and during the 50s and 60s, they developed Hangul typewriters, which were then mass distributed to the people. These were designed around Hangul writing. So you could not just transfer that to Hanja. You can't do it. So Hangul became the predominant typewritten language. And the ban on Hanja was not formally lifted until 1992. And in 1999, the Korean government started putting Hanja back on road signs and in subways. So you can see that the government tried to instill national pride in Korean people, to create a keyboard using just their alphabet and they started banning the old written language. And that was only lifted in 1992. That's only 34 years ago. Gonna be a long night. Yeah, well. No, we're kind of wrapping it up now. Misbehaving, yeah, that too. Might need another night. Well, the evolution, so to speak, of written languages are never simple. But we're kind of wrapping this up now. Crazy how a keyboard can have so much influence over an alphabet. Think about it, though. Think about it. This keyboard right here. Why does this layout exist? Little history question. Why does the QWERTY keyboard exist in the layout it exists in today? Come on, all you old proofreaders, I guess, or just people who use keyboards or typewriters. Why is the QWERTY keyboard exist in the layout that it does today? Computers came along, peasant script was probably easier for data entry. Yes, it was. Similar to trying to switch Americans to metric. Oh boy.
Everybody likes me. Everybody hates me.
Computer, stop. What the hell are you doing? Well, hello there, new person. Because of typewriters and which hammers would be used more often. There it is. QWERTY slowed down typists so that they wouldn't jam the keys too fast. Even out how many letters would be used by each hand. Yes and no. Carl and Dan basically have it. If they just put the layout A, B, C, D, E all the way through, when people were typing, the arms would get tied up. So they had to come out with a layout where no matter how fast you were typing, those arms would be able to come up and hit the page and come back down before the next one came up. So try and imagine you create this layout for this specific alphabet, for the English alphabet. Now try using this same keyboard for French or for Arabic. It's designed for one specific type of writing. Same thing happened there. There you go. That's why. This keyboard is designed because when they first were making typewriters, your arms would get jammed up. So they had to come up with a positioning of the letters so that it didn't happen as often. Because yes, Carl, it's still possible, but it was more difficult. Yes, or Chinese, yes. So we have one simple creation, typewriter, designed around the Korean alphabet because the Korean government wanted to instill national pride in the Korean alphabet. Use the Korean alphabet. Stop using the Chinese-created Korean words. People didn't like that they couldn't continue to learn and use the old alphabet. Public backlash, but the typewriter was still created based around the Korean alphabet. 1992, 34 years ago, that ban was lifted. And 27 years ago, they started putting Hanja back on signs and in subways. Older people learn how to type, then you can't change the keys or they can't type. Exactly. And this keyboard has existed in this form for a while now. This is how I learned to type. Home row, ASDF, HJK, or no, JKL semicolon. Actually, I had to look down. That's how I learned to type. If they changed, they have changed the layout of this keyboard. They have those ones that are like V-shaped, where you have half the letters on this side and half the letters on this side. It's still home row. But I tried to use one of those keyboards. Nah. Nope. Not a chance. You learn one way, you type one way. If they changed the QWERTY, I'd be messed up. Exactly. I think most people would. Most people that are active. I don't even particularly like using the keyboard to play games. But if they change the layout, I would be screwed. Yeah, I've heard that too. It's supposed to be more ergonomic and force you to type correctly. It didn't work for me. I made more mistakes that way. Keep my keyboard flat and even, please. But there you go, Dan. How's that for more about the Korean writing system? Only type 100% correctly because I reach over the wrong finger and hit blank space. Prefers Dvorak keyboard. I couldn't use it. Yeah. I could possibly go more in depth. More about the history and things. But this, thank you, Carl. I appreciate it. Oh, don't type correctly because my hands are too small to make stretches. You can try and make a smaller keyboard. Don't use the shift key properly. Always use left shift, even if I'm. I think I use them both equally. Oh yes, it's still complex. Of course it is. Most things are complex. But I think we'll put a pin in it there. If we decide to come back to this later, we absolutely can. But we're over the hour, and I think I've covered most of the major points. So I think we'll go ahead and cut it off there for today. I will be back on Monday for Old Tien's Landing in Jade Empire. And you get to meet one of my favorite characters. And it's a character you only meet once. I know I've said a lot of people are my favorite characters. Kang the Mad's my favorite character. Black Whirlwind's my favorite character. But this is a character you're only going to run across one time. And this character had such an impact on me that I want to include this character as an NPC in a tabletop D&D game. I'll talk more about that on Monday. We're going to go into Old Tien's Landing. I'm glad you're looking forward to it. So am I. All right, guys. I will be back on Monday. Next Saturday, Midnight Suggestion. I'm going to spend the next week learning about the Rajput warriors of India. That will be our topic for next Saturday. So, midnight. Look forward to that. I will be back next time I hope everyone enjoys your evening. And I will see you all on Monday. Night, Carl. Glad you're looking forward to a midnight. Good night, Dan. Good night, Dawn. Have a lovely, hopefully cool night. We'll see. I will see you all next time. Thank you, Trey. I'm glad to see you awake. And good night, Donna. 再见。